Dear, my F3 fan, friends and followers, hope you all are doing well. Today, I'll discuss regarding Valentine's Day in this video. My name is Ayushi. Let's start. Valentine's Day, also called Saint Valentine's Day or the Feast of Saint Valentine, is celebrated annually on February 14th. It originated as a Christian feast day honoring a martyr named Valentine, and through later folk traditions, it has also become a significant cultural, religious and commercial celebration of romance and love in many regions of the world. There are a number of martyrdom stories associated with various Saint Valentines connected to February 14th, including an account of the imprisonment of Saint Valentine of Rome for ministering to Christians persecuted under the Roman Empire in the 3rd century. According to an early tradition, Saint Valentine restored sight to the blind daughter of his jailer. Numerous later additions to the legend have better related it to the theme of love. Tradition maintains that Saint Valentine performed weddings for Christian soldiers who were forbidden to marry by the Roman emperor. An 18th-century embellishment to the legend claims he wrote the jailer's daughter a letter signed, "Your Valentine," as a farewell before his execution. One more thing, I wanna discuss with my F3, please comment regarding your all queries and topics on which you want videos on your favorite topics. As you know, I'm here for my fans and my fans are on the top of it. The 8th century Galatian sacramentary recorded the celebration of the Feast of Saint Valentine on February 14th. The day became associated with romantic love in the 14th and 15th centuries when notions of courtly love flourished, apparently by association with the lovebirds of early spring. In 18th century England, it grew into an occasion for couples to express their love for each other by presenting flowers, offering confectionery, and sending greeting cards known as valentines. Valentine's Day symbols that are used today include the heart-shaped outline, doves, and the figure of the winged Cupid. In the 19th century, handmade cards gave way to mass-produced greetings. In Italy, Saint Valentine's keys are given to lovers, as a romantic symbol and an invitation to unlock the giver's heart, as well as to children to ward off epilepsy called Saint Valentine's malady. Saint Valentine's Day is not a public holiday in any country, although it is an official feast day in the Anglican Communion and the Lutheran Church. Many parts of the Eastern Orthodox Church also celebrate Saint Valentine's Day on July 6 in honor of Roman presbyter Saint Valentine, and on July 30 in honor of hieromartyr Valentine, the bishop of Interomna, modern Terna. Numerous early Christian martyrs were named Valentine. The Valentines honored on February 14 are Valentine of Rome, Valentinus Presby, M. Rome, and Valentine of Terna, Valentinus EP. Interomnensis M. Rome. Valentine of Rome was a priest in Rome who was martyred in 269 and was added to the calendar of saints by Pope Gelasius I in 496 and was buried on the Via Flaminia. The relics of Saint Valentine were kept in the church and catacombs of San Valentino in Rome, which remained an important pilgrim site throughout the Middle Ages until the relics of Saint Valentine were transferred to the Church of Santa Prassede during the pontificate of Nicholas IV, 1288-1292. The flower-crowned skull of Saint Valentine is exhibited in the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedin, Rome. Other relics are found at Whitefriars Street Carmelite Church in Dublin, Ireland. Valentine of Terna became Bishop of Interomna, now Terna, in central Italy and is said to have been martyred during the persecution under Emperor Aurelian in 273. He is buried on the Via Flaminia, but in a different location from Valentine of Rome. His relics are at the Basilica of Saint Valentine in Terna, Basilica di San Valentino. Professor Jack B. Orich of the University of Kansas notes that abstracts of the Acts of the two saints were in nearly every church and monastery of Europe. A relic claimed to be Saint Valentine of Terna's head was preserved in the Abbey of Newminster, Winchester, and venerated. The Catholic Encyclopedia speaks of a third saint named Valentine who was mentioned in early martyrologies under date of February 14. He was martyred in Africa with a number of companions, but nothing more is known about him. February 14 is celebrated as Saint Valentine's Day in various Christian denominations. It has, for example, the rank of commemoration in the calendar of saints in the Anglican Communion. The feast day of Saint Valentine is given in the calendar of saints of the Lutheran Church. In the 1969 revision of the Roman Catholic calendar of saints, the feast day of Saint Valentine on February 14 was relegated from the general Roman calendar to particular local or even national calendars for the following reason. Though the memorial of Saint Valentine is ancient, it is left to particular calendars, since, apart from his name, nothing is known of Saint Valentine except that he was buried on the Via Flaminia on February 14. Therefore, as he remains within the Roman martyrology, he may recognized optionally during Mass outside of Christmastide and Eastertide. The feast day is still celebrated in Balzant, Malta, where relics of the saint are claimed to be found, and also throughout the world by traditionalist Catholics who follow the older, pre-Second Vatican Council calendar. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, St. Valentine is recognized on July 6, in which Saint Valentine, the Roman presbyter, is honored. In addition, the Eastern Orthodox Church observes the feast of Hieromartyr Valentine, Bishop of Interamna, on July 30. 27. J.C. Cooper, in the Dictionary of Christianity, writes that Saint Valentine was a priest of Rome who was imprisoned for succoring persecuted Christians. Contemporary records of Saint Valentine were most probably destroyed during this Diocletianic persecution in the early 4th century. In the 5th or 6th century, a work called Passio Marie et Marthae published a story of martyrdom for Saint Valentine of Rome, perhaps by borrowing tortures that happened to other saints, as was usual in the literature of that period. The same events are found in Bede's Martyrology, which was compiled in the 8th century. It states that Saint Valentine was persecuted as a Christian and interrogated by Roman Emperor Claudius II in person. Claudius was impressed by Valentine and had a discussion with him, attempting to get him to convert to Roman paganism in order to save his life. Valentine refused and tried to convert Claudius to Christianity instead. Because of this, he was executed. Before his execution, he is reported to have performed a miracle by healing Julia, the blind daughter of his jailer Asterius. The jailer's daughter and his 46-member household, family members and servants, came to believe in Jesus and were baptized. A later Passio repeated the legend, adding that Pope Julius I built a church over his sepulchre. It is a confusion with a 4th century tribune called Valentino who donated land to build a church at a time when Julius was a pope. The legend was picked up as fact by later martyrologies, starting with Bede's Martyrology in the 8th century. It was repeated in the 13th century, in the Golden Legend. There is an additional embellishment to the Golden Legend, which according to Henry Ansgar Kelly, was added in the 18th century and widely repeated. On the evening before Valentine was to be executed, he is supposed to have written the first Valentine card himself, addressed to the daughter of his jailer Asterius, who was no longer blind, signing as, "Your Valentine." The expression, "from your Valentine," was later adopted by modern Valentine letters. This legend has been published by both American Greetings and the History Channel. John Fox, a 16th-century English historian, and the Order of Carmelites state that Saint Valentine was buried in the Church of Praxedes in Rome, located near the cemetery of Saint Hippolytus. This order says that according to legend, Julia herself planted a pink-blossomed almond tree near his grave. Today, the almond tree remains a symbol of abiding love and friendship. Another embellishment suggests that Saint Valentine performed clandestine Christian weddings for soldiers who were forbidden to marry. The Roman Emperor Claudius II supposedly forbade this in order to grow his army, believing that married men did not make for good soldiers. However, George Munger writes that this marriage ban was never issued and that Claudius II told his soldiers to take 2 or 3 women for themselves after his victory over the Goths. According to legend, in order to remind these men of their vows and God's love, Saint Valentine is said to have cut hearts from parchment, giving them to these soldiers and persecuted Christians, a possible origin of the widespread use of hearts on St. Valentine's Day. Saint Valentine supposedly wore a purple amethyst ring, customarily worn on the hands of Christian bishops with an image of Cupid engraved in it, a recognizable symbol associated with love that was legal under the Roman Empire. Roman soldiers would recognize the ring and ask him to perform marriage for them. Probably due to the association with Saint Valentine, amethyst has become the birthstone of February, which is thought to attract love. Connection with romantic love. Possible ancient origins. The feast, Latin, in Natale, lit. On the birthday of Saint Valentine originated in Christendom and has been marked by the Western Church of Christendom in honor of one of the Christian martyrs named Valentine, as recorded in the 8th century Galatian sacramentary. In ancient Rome, Lupercalia was observed February 13 to 15 on behalf of Pan and Juno, pagan gods of love, marriage and fertility. It was a rite connected to purification and health, and had only slight connection to fertility as a part of health and none to love. The celebration of Saint Valentine is not known to have had any romantic connotations until Chaucer's poetry about Valentine's Day, in the 14th century, some 700 years after celebration of Lupercalia is believed to have ceased. Lupercalia was a festival local to the city of Rome. The more general festival of Juno Februa, meaning Juno the Purifier, or the chaste Juno, was celebrated on February 13 to 14. Although the Pope Gelasius I 492–496 article in the Catholic Encyclopedia says that he abolished Lupercalia, theologian and Methodist minister Bruce Forbes wrote that, no evidence has been demonstrated to link St. Valentine's Day and the rites of the ancient Roman purification festival of Lupercalia, despite claims by many authors to the contrary. Some researchers have theorized that Gelasius I replaced Lupercalia with the celebration of the purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary and claim a connection to the 14th century's connotations of romantic love, but there is no historical indication that he ever intended such a thing. Also, the dates do not fit because at the time of Gelasius I, the feast was only celebrated in Jerusalem, and it was on February 14 only because Jerusalem placed the Nativity of Jesus Christmas on January 6. Notes 3. Although it was called Purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary, it also dealt with the presentation of Jesus at the temple. Jerusalem's purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary on February 14 became the presentation of Jesus at the temple on February 2 as it was introduced to Rome and other places in the 6th century, after Gelasius I's time. Alban Butler in his The Lives of the Fathers, Martyrs, and Other Principal Saints 1756–1759 claimed without proof that boys and girls in Lupercalia drew names from a jar to make couples, and that modern Valentine's letters originated from this custom. In reality, this practice originated in the Middle Ages, with no link to Lupercalia, with boys drawing the names of girls at random to couple with them. This custom was combated by priests, for example by Francis de Sales around 1600, apparently by replacing it with a religious custom of girls drawing the names of apostles from the altar. However, this religious custom is recorded as early as the 13th century in the life of Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, so it could have a different origin. Valentine poetry. The earliest surviving Valentine is a 15th-century rondeau written by Charles, Duke of Orléans to his wife, which commences. At the time, the Duke was being held in the Tower of London following his capture at the Battle of Agincourt, 1415. The earliest surviving Valentines in English appear to be those in the Paston Letters, written in 1477 by Marjorie Bruce to her future husband John Paston, "My right well-beloved Valentine." Valentine's Day is mentioned ruefully by Ophelia in William Shakespeare's Hamlet 1600–1601. John Donne used the legend of the marriage of the birds as the starting point for his epithalamion celebrating the marriage of Elizabeth, daughter of James I of England, and Frederick V, Elector Palatine, on Valentine's Day. Modern times. In 1797, a British publisher issued The Young Man's Valentine Writer, which contained scores of suggested sentimental verses for the young lover unable to compose his own. Printers had already begun producing a limited number of cards with verses and sketches, called mechanical valentines. Paper valentines became so popular in England in the early 19th century that they were assembled in factories. Fancy valentines were made with real lace and ribbons, with paper lace introduced in the mid-19th century. In 1835, 60,000 valentine cards were sent by post in the United Kingdom, despite postage being expensive. A reduction in postal rates following Sir Rowland Hill's postal reforms with the 1840 invention of the postage stamp penny black saw the number of valentines posted increase, with 400,000 sent just 1 year after its invention, and ushered in the less personal but easier practice of mailing valentines. That made it possible for the first time to exchange cards anonymously, which is taken as the reason for the sudden appearance of racy verse in an era otherwise prudishly Victorian. Production increased, Cupid's manufactory, as Charles Dickens termed it, with over 3,000 women employed in manufacturing. The Laura Seddon greeting card collection at Manchester Metropolitan University gathers 450 Valentine's Day cards dating from early 19th century Britain, printed by the major publishers of the day. The collection appears in Seddon's book Victorian Valentines 1996. In the United States, the first mass-produced valentines of embossed paper lace were produced and sold shortly after 1847 by Esther Howland (1828–1904) of Worcester, Massachusetts. Her father operated a large book and stationery store, but Howland took her inspiration from an English valentine she had received from a business associate of her father. Intrigued with the idea of making similar valentines, Howland began her business by importing paper lace and floral decorations from England. A writer in Graham's American Monthly observed in 1849, St. Valentine's Day is becoming, nay it has become, a national holiday. The English practice of sending Valentine's cards was established enough to feature as a plot device in Elizabeth Gaskell's Mr. Harrison's Confessions 1851, I burst in with my explanations, the Valentine the first know nothing about. It is in your handwriting, said he coldly. Since 2001, the Greeting Card Association has been giving an annual Esther Howland Award for a greeting card visionary. Since the 19th century, handmade cards have given way to mass-produced greeting cards. 12. In the UK, just under half of the population spend money on their Valentines, and around £1.9 billion was spent in 2015 on cards, flowers, chocolates, and other gifts. The mid-19th century Valentine's Day trade was a harbinger of further commercialized holidays in the US to follow. In 1868, the British chocolate company Cadbury created Fancy Boxes, a decorated box of chocolates, in the shape of a heart for Valentine's Day. Boxes of filled chocolates quickly became associated with the holiday. In the second half of the 20th century, the practice of exchanging cards was extended to all manner of gifts, such as giving jewelry. The U.S. Greeting Card Association estimates that approximately 190 million Valentines are sent each year in the U.S. Half of those Valentines are given to family members other than husband or wife, usually to children. When the Valentine exchange cards made in school activities are included, the figure goes up to 1 billion, and teachers become the people receiving the most Valentines. The average Valentine's spending has increased every year in the U.S., from $108 a person in 2010 to $131 in 2013. The rise of internet popularity at the turn of the millennium is creating new traditions. Millions of people use, every year, digital means of creating and sending Valentine's Day greeting messages such as e-cards, love coupons or printable greeting cards. Valentine's Day is considered by some to be a hallmark holiday due to its commercialization. In the modern era, liturgically, the Lutheran Church and Anglican Church have a service for St. Valentine's Day, the feast of St. Valentine, which includes the optional rite of the renewal of marriage vows. In 2016, the Catholic bishops of England and Wales established a novena prayer to support single people seeking a spouse ahead of St. Valentine's Day. Celebration and status worldwide. Valentine's Day customs. Sending greeting cards known as Valentines, offering confectionery and presenting flowers, developed in early modern England and spread throughout the English-speaking world in the 19th century. In the later 20th and early 21st centuries, these customs spread to other countries, like those of Halloween, or aspects of Christmas such as Santa Claus. Valentine's Day is celebrated in many East Asian countries, with Singaporeans, Chinese and South Koreans spending the most money on Valentine's gifts. Americas. Latin America. In most Latin American countries, for example, Costa Rica, Mexico, and the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico, St. Valentine's Day is known as Dia de los Enamorados, Day of Lovers, or as Dia del Amor y la Amistad, Day of Love and Friendship. It is also common to see people perform acts of appreciation for their friends. In Guatemala it is known as Dia del Cariño, Affection Day. Some countries, in particular the Dominican Republic and El Salvador, have a tradition called Amigo Secreto, Secret Friend, which is a game similar to the Christmas tradition of Secret Santa. Brazil, Dia dos Namorados. In Brazil, the Dia dos Namorados, lit. Lover's Day, or Boyfriend's Girlfriend's Day, is celebrated on June 12, probably because that is the day before St. Anthony's Day, known there as the marriage saint. Citation needed when traditionally many single women perform popular rituals, called simpatias, in order to find a good husband or boyfriend. Couples exchange gifts, chocolates, cards, and flower bouquets. The February 14th Valentine's Day is not celebrated at all because it is usually too close to Brazilian Carnival, which can fall anywhere from early February to early March and lasts almost a week. Colombia. Colombia celebrates Dia del Amor y la Amistad on the third Saturday in September instead. Amigo Secreto is also popular there. United States. On the United States mainland, about 190 million Valentine's Day cards are sent each year, not including the hundreds of millions of cards school children exchange. Valentine's Day is a major source of economic activity, with total expenditures in 2017 topping $18.2 billion in 2017, or over $136 per person. This is an increase from $108 per person in 2010. In 2019, a survey by the National Retail Federation found that over the previous decade, the percentage of people who celebrate Valentine's Day had declined steadily. From their survey results, they found three primary reasons: over-commercialization of the holiday, not having a significant other, and not being interested in celebrating it. India. Valentine's Day in India. In ancient India, there was a tradition of adoring Kamadeva, the Lord of Love, exemplified by the erotic carvings in the Khajuraho group of monuments and by the writing of the Kama Sutra. This tradition was lost around the Middle Ages, when Kamadeva was no longer celebrated, and public displays of sexual affection became frowned upon. This repression of public affections began to loosen in the 1990s. Valentine's Day celebrations did not catch on in India until around 1992. It was spread due to the programs in commercial TV channels, such as MTV, dedicated radio programs, and love letter competitions, in addition to an economical liberalization that allowed the explosion of the Valentine card industry. The celebration has caused a sharp change on how people have been displaying their affection in public since the Middle Ages. On a 2018 online survey, it was found that 68% of the respondents do not wish to celebrate Valentine's Day. It can be also observed that different religious groups, including Hindu, Muslim and Christian people of India, do not support Valentine's Day. In modern times, Hindu and Islamic traditionalists have considered the holiday to be cultural contamination from the West, a result of globalization in India. Shiv Sena and the Sangh Parivar have asked their followers to shun the holiday and the public admission of love, because of them being alien to Indian culture. Although these protests are organized by political elites, the protesters themselves are middle-class Hindu men who fear that the globalization will destroy the traditions in their society: arranged marriages, Hindu joint families, full-time mothers, etc. Despite these obstacles, Valentine's Day is becoming increasingly popular in India. Valentine's Day has been strongly criticized from a post-colonial perspective by intellectuals from the Indian left. The holiday is regarded as a front for Western imperialism, neocolonialism, and the exploitation of working classes through commercialism by multinational corporations. It is claimed that as a result of Valentine's Day, the working classes and rural poor become more disconnected socially, politically, and geographically from the hegemonic capitalist power structure. They also criticize mainstream media attacks on Indians opposed to Valentine's Day as a form of demonization that is designed and derived to further the Valentine's Day agenda. Right-wing Hindu nationalists are also hostile. In February 2012, Subhash Chauhan of the Bajrang Dal warned couples that they cannot kiss or hug in public places. Our activists will beat them up. He said, "We are not against love, but we criticize vulgar exhibition of love at public places." According to The Hindu in February 2023, the Animal Welfare Board of India appealed to Indians to celebrate the 14th of February as Cow Hug Day, for emotional richness, and to increase individual and collective happiness. The newspaper referenced the sacredness of cows as being equivalent to one's mother in Indian culture, and further rude. Vedic traditions are almost on the verge of extinction due to the progress of Western culture over time. The dazzle of Western civilization has made our physical culture and heritage almost forgotten. According Rhea Moghul of CNN, a 2017 photo series Indian women sporting cow masks by activist Sujitra Ghosh portrays a society in which cows are more valued than women. Moghul says authorities had advanced the idea to rebrand Valentine's Day as Cow Hug Day. Moghul says, but the move seems to have failed and later retracted after it prompted a rush of internet memes, cartoons and jokes by TV hosts about the importance of consent. Media outlets like NDTV mock the government's plan by underlining the importance of the consent of cows before hugging them. Moghul says critics say cow worship has been politically manipulated by cow vigilante motivated by conservative BJP's majoritarian politics to harass minorities with allegations of disrespect of cows or cow slaughter. Restrictions on Valentine's Day in some countries. The celebration of Valentine's Day has been banned in Indonesia, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia due to beliefs the holiday conflicts with Islamic culture. Since 2009, certain practices pertaining to Valentine's Day, such as giving flowers, cards, or other gifts suggestive of Valentine's Day, are banned in Iran. Iran's law enforcement force prosecutes distributors of goods with symbols associated with Valentine's Day. In 2021, the Prosecutor's Office of Qom, Iran, stated that it will prosecute those who disseminate and provide anti-cultural symbols like those of Valentine's Day. Although Valentine's Day is not accepted or approved by any institution in Iran and has no official status, it is highly accepted among a large part of the population. One of the reasons for Valentine's Day acceptance since the 2000s by the general population is the change in relations between the sexes, and because sexual relationships are no longer strictly limited to be within marriage. As we wrap this odyssey, Valentine's Day, love and care, I extend my gratitude. If this journey resonated with you, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more enlightening content. Until next time, stay informed, stay inspired. Thank you for joining me, and may you have a great time ahead.